Hey, G. John Rowe of Above God's Name channel, back with Brother Howard, in the home of Brother Howard. What I have sitting in front of me right now is a 1640 edition of the 1611 King James Bible. This would be the seventh of the editions in the 1600s. Think about the seven churches in Revelation 2 and 3. Think about the seven spirits of God, etc., etc. Boy, the Lord loves to do things in sevens, doesn't
Yes,
he,
he
Howard?
does. This is kind of a bookend to the 1611.
It is a true bookend to the 1611. We talked in our last segment about the abstractness of God. That God is very deep. There's an abstractness that's there to him that he desires to bring us into. And the reason he desires, as I've been taught by the Lord, us to come into the abstract is because it requires growth to be able to accomplish that.
Absolutely.
And the Lord desires a maturing out of us. He desires childlike faith, but not childish children.
Right.
So as we mature, we're coming into deeper and deeper ways of processing God, our understanding, and connecting with him in heights of who he is and the majesty of his ways. One of those that we're going to talk about now is the layout. That would be the print layout of the 1611 King James Bible. Now I'm going to call this the beauty of his holiness.
It is beautiful.
The beauty of his holiness.
I don't think there's a more beautiful set of Bibles than the 1611 series. And it's the only one in history that I know of where they did the Bible 7 times, where every page from each edition is interchangeable with the other.
Now, interchangeable, that would mean that each leaf, each page we'll call a leaf.
Right. They actually call them leaves
Yes,
back then.
yes.
It's because it's a tree. It's the tree of life.
Yes. And so each page can go in the exact same place in another edition without any kind of
Changing.
communication clash. In other words, if I put this in the same slot in a different of the other 6 editions, it's going to take a harmonial place.
Right. Every letter and every word is on the same page. So if you lost a page or got torn out, you could go to the printer and they had all these bins and you could just pick out from any edition and put it in here. I've collected some of these Bibles and I've found pages from 3 or 4 different editions in this to complete a Bible.
Amen. I call that the homeostasis of the Bible.
Yes.
It has a settling point where it's settled itself. Forever, O Lord, thy word is settled in heaven.
Right. I doubt if there's very few pastors or even scholars that know there were 7 different Bibles.
But we're going to get into that in another video, but this one we're going to cover the beauty of his holiness, the artistic layout that God has done here, because it's meaningful. It is all full of meaning that you've led me in, and I'm going to have you share that. I did a video about the Lord dwelling in the thick darkness, and how the Lord was through abstract communication, prophesying of his own dwelling in those thick, Gothic font, dark letters of the King James Bible, that his Spirit would abide in those words. Those words would be containers for his Spirit. They're thick, they're dark. Boy, how exact to the word this 1611 is a picture to go along with the teaching. So let's take a look at the layout, and I'm going to have you guide us through. So many Christians, they have no idea when we say artistic layout of the 1611 King James Bible. That's just fog to them. They don't know what we're talking about. Let me give just a quick visual so that the viewers can really appreciate what we're going to go through right now. This 1611 King James Bible, so unique. What we have here is a left column and a right column, 2 columns.
The right hand and the left hand.
Yes. In between those columns, there is a channel that is running down the middle. Here's the channel right here. And there is a outward frame going around all of the text. And you're going to tell us about all of these parts. And that outward frame, called furniture,
Right.
what was in the holy place and the most holy place, furniture.
Right.
Think of all the details to furniture God ordered,
Right.
and how that furniture was by measure that you were describing, detail. And we have all of that here. Will you take it from there, Howard, and just start to share with us about this unique layout?
You know, the layout is absolutely amazing. And you have, he mentioned furniture. This is kind of a later phrase. When printers printed a book way back in the 1600s, every letter was cut out. And of course, you can't just lay letters on a table and then print. So they had what they call a chase that would hold the letters.
Okay.
But to hold them so they're firm within the chase, they had what is called furniture. And that surrounded all of the letters. And then you kind of, they had ways of clamping them or holding them in a firm place, so when you press down the press, they wouldn't scatter on you. And what they did in the 1602 bishops, I believe it was, someone came up with the brilliant idea, it had to be inspired of God, of taking thin strips of either brass or copper, and they would put them outside, and so they actually printed just like the type, and they formed what they called furniture. And the layout, everything that God does is in reference to the tabernacle. So we have a little outside thing, and inside this outside corridor, which we call the utter court. And actually, I got that word out of Ezekiel. It called it the utter court.
Now, let's talk about that. So we're talking about a spelling, what we would commonly call the outer court of the temple,
right.
being spelled with a U.
Right.
Utter?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's in Ezekiel?
Yeah, but in Ezekiel, it actually spells it out with a Vutter, which is an udder. Now, what is an udder? Well, if you raise goats or cows, you know that you get milk from the udder.
Yes.
And so, in a sense, the milk of the word is in the utter court, which was reserved later, it talks about in Revelation, for the Gentiles. And it's for us children. Because if you can't understand something in the text, very often in the utter court, they will explain what they meant by a word in the text.
So if you cannot digest the meat,
Right.
you need to go to the utter court, which is the outer court of the temple, to get some clarification, i.e. notes that the translators of the King James Bible had made.
Here's an example that is so powerful that people have been stumbling under Urim and Thummim for centuries, not even knowing what it says. But in the heart of the Bible, or the what we call the Apocrypha, there in 1 Edwards 5:40, it says doctrine and truth in the text, but what is that? It's Urim and Thummim.
Okay. I have a feeling a lot of our viewers, that went over their head.
I'm sure it did, yeah.
Not even knowing Urim, Thummim, what's that? Because they don't read their Bibles.
Right.
But the Urim, Thummim was the breastplate worn by the high priest.
No, the Urim and Thummim was in the breastplate.
Yes, yes, in the breastplate, the stones, the tribes on there. And those were speaking oracles that God would communicate with Israel. And it's true that if you try to seek out an answer for a real clear description and you inquire about what is this oracle, Urim Thummim, you're not going to get that in the 66 books as clear as you might hope to. And so by going to the utter court or the outer court to get milk, it's going to help you understand the meat of what the Urim Thummim is.
The center part of the Bible is like a Levitical bridge. The Bible tells you God gave the covenants to the Levites so they could teach them the deeper things. And there they express this.
Okay, take me to the columns of print, the meat, the two
Well, I
meat
look at
columns.
each of the. I look at the outer court as the outer part of the tabernacle, because God seems to do everything by the tabernacle. He even calls Jesus the true tabernacle, and we are called tabernacles and temples. And it talks about the tabernacle in heaven. Well, this first column, I guess I'm going back. We'll be here. Would be like the holy place. And then on the other side is the most holy place. It seems to always get deeper as you go on this side. And in between this is, I call, the river of life. And if you go to Revelation, it talks about on either side of the river, the tree. These are like trees. These are like towers. These are like the wells of salvation.
Now, you hold on a second.
Yeah.
You just mixed metaphors,
Yes.
okay? And that can be confusing. That's got to kick us back to a couple videos ago where we said the word "and" is so important,
Right.
because
That's very good.
you've just demonstrated something in the fullness of your knowledge that's going to just go right over people's heads, because you're putting those mixed metaphors side by side and you're just taking it all in. But our viewers might not be able to do that.
That's why you're here, to straighten me out, because I tend
Well,
to.
you don't need straightening out.
No.
you just I'm just going to bridge for our
Right,
viewers.
no, I
Let me just
appreciate
kind of go over that, guys. We've got mixed metaphors going on here. God will show it one way, take the same thing, show it another way.
That's
Take
absolutely
the
right.
same thing, show it another way. He'll triple witness it
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
massage it into us,
Right.
to take us into an understanding of God in this direction, an understanding of God in another direction, or what you've called in previous segments facets of God. So what we've got here are two columns, a right side, left side. Now, most of the new Bibles, they've forsaken that in
They're
their printing.
forsaken, and they also clutter the river of life with
Yes.
all kinds of things.
Yes. So with according to Revelation, that the tree of life on each side of the river, we really do have a picture of that here, because we have
Right.
the words in the one column, we have the words in the next column beside it, but between the two, there is a very strongly distinct channel.
Yes, called, it's
That's-
pure, it's clean.
It's pure,
never
it's
cluttered.
clean, it's running down the middle. And when you shared that with me, I just said, that is from the Lord. The Spirit showed me immediately. I didn't have to debate it. I didn't have to question it.
Amen.
Immediately, the Spirit showed me that.
And even with the header on the top, this forms a cross.
Yes, a tav, if you will.
Top, yeah.
Okay, so that was one example. Now, you also said towers. So we're talking something totally different now, towers.
Yeah, these are towers.
They are. Now, I've done a lot of videos connecting the layout of the King James Bible, 1611, with the twin towers from 911. We have towers here. We have the tree of life on each side of the river, the temple, the
Yes.
three parts of the temple: outer court, holy place, most holy
holy
place.
place.
Okay? Outer court, holy place, most holy place. That's abstract. That's deep. Those well springs that you're talking about that run deep,
Yes.
we really have to be willing to let God just take us into it,
And
bring us to the
and
depths.
as you get to the second one, the most holy place, it gets deeper, and the weight of glory is more expressed as you read that.
Amen.
And you'll see that page after page.
Amen.
But without a 1611, you'll be totally clueless to be able to see that.
Howard, regarding the layout, and I'm talking artistical,
Right, it is
typographical layout, is there any closing words you want to share on that?
Well, we've used that expression, or God uses the expression, the beauty of holiness. This is holiness, and I've never seen a more beautiful set of Bibles than the 1611 family.
Amen. We're going to have a video on that. Viewers, come back for the next segment. It's going to be powerful.